I welcome everyone to day 3 of the Sea Boot Camp, organized with the greatest courage, with the motto of Team Together Everyone Achieves More. It's a great pleasure for me to introduce our speaker today, Ms. Mahima Munjal. She holds various skills and projects under her belt and possesses experience in the development of web based applications using technologies such as Flash servers, ML and AI based applications, and currently working at Nagaro. Today we are going to cover while loop, do while loop, for loop, questions on loops, break and continue statements. We will be taking up questions in the last 10 minutes of the session. You are advised to share full screen to ensure the smooth flow of the session. You are requested to fill the feedback form and attempt the quiz in order to receive the completion certificate. You all will be provided with notes and study material at the end of the session. Please read the rules and regulations mentioned in the chat box. Maintain the decorum. Any kind of wrong behavior will not be tolerated, and the person committing it will be no longer part of the boot camp. Ma'am, please take over and teach us. Happy learning, everyone.
Thank you, Alaika, for such a warm welcome. Hi, guys. Hello, everyone. So, my name is Mahima Munjal, and I will be your friend and your instructor for the day. And I am recently graduated from North Cap University, and I am working at Nagaro. So, if you guys have any concerns or any queries, you can just connect with me on LinkedIn. And now, let's just start with the session. Let's not just waste any more time. So, I will be sharing my screen. Just tell me when you can see it, okay? Okay, guys, I hope you can see the screen.
Yes, you are visible.
Okay. So, guys, can anyone, before jumping to the concept of loops and jump statements, I want to hear from you, like what a basic understanding you have about loops and what do you mean about it in English sense? I will be telling you, of course, but I want to just connect with the audience. So, can anyone just raise hands or just tell what's the basic definition of loops or looping in general sense in English, literally?
Ma'am, it is an iterative statement.
Okay. No, I'm asking, not asking in the concept of programming. I'm asking just in the concept of daily life language that we use.
Like circle, we will jog in the park, like that you're asking, ma'am.
Okay. Yeah. So you're partially correct. So, like, suppose you must have listened people say, I am listening to this song on loop, or I am looping on Spotify. I'm listening to this song. So what that basically that means is that you're repeating itself. You're repeating something, right? You're repeating a song to be played multiple times. That's what is loop or looping in programming itself. It just means repetition in basic sense. It means repeating a control statement so that the process can be more smoother and it can be more readable, right? So let's first go to for loop. So for loop is a basic loop which we use in all of the languages. It is more frequently used in data structures like array and linked list, and it is usually used in programming sense where we know the number of iterations in advance. Okay, so coming to its syntax, we have three expressions in for loop. First being the initializer, second being the condition, and third being the increment or decrement statement. And the syntax, as I said, syntax and flowchart are similar. So flowchart, we just give the initialization statement, then it goes into the test condition. If it becomes true, block of statement is executed, followed by an update expression, which is given in which is expression 3 itself. And if it becomes true, the condition is checked again and again until it becomes false and the program comes to stop. So let's just code itself so that you can get a basic idea. I hope you guys are aware of the basic syntax of C. So in case if you are not, I can just tell you that also. So, okay. So basic syntax of C, like we have three most important things in a C program. First, we have this hash, which is our preprocessor directive. What it does is basically preprocesses all the compiles of the files before the actual execution of program starts. And what is this include? What is this statement. This exit includes the file which are with a preprocessor directive. So what this line does, like suppose if I write dash include stdio.h, it takes a header file, stdio.h is a header file, include is a keyword which is used to include this header file with this preprocessor directive. This preprocessor directive includes all the information from this file and takes it with itself and executes it before the actual compilation happens. This is done because we might use some of the components of stdio, like suppose use functions like get ch or use get ch is stdlib function, or suppose you use functions like main, or you use functions like cout or printf, scanf. These are all functions of stdio library which are used. So for that purpose we use this header file. Okay, so this is the main part. Then a program always has a main function, which is a main point of execution or the main starting point of a program. So all the code of C++ starts from this function, and nothing which can be right outside it. Excuse me, just a sec. Guys, just a sec. Yeah, yeah, I'm back. Sorry for the delay. So yeah, so this main function is basically the main point of execution, and let me just write a basic syntax first. Suppose I write hello world, and the third most important thing, return statement. If it's a function, it must always have a return statement at the end, unless it's a void function. Void functions also have return statement, but we usually don't usually use them in general programming syntax. So it has return zero statement, which means the program has executed successfully. So this is a basic syntax of C. So let me just run it. If you guys are not aware of it, you can just see it will just print hello world. Now you might ask why we need loops. Like if the statement can be printed using a single printf statement, why do we actually need loops? So suppose I am given the task to print this statement one time, two times, or suppose say three times as well. I can do that, right? It's not a pretty big task. But suppose I am given a task to print it, suppose say 100 times. It will be a very tedious task to print these statements hundreds of times and writing the code for this, right? We are not actually going to use that, and it will moreover not be a readable one, because writing 100 printf statements will not be a good thing to do. So this is where loops come into scenario. When we need some repetition to be done, we bring out loops and just write a basic syntax which can do the task in a single line of code. So let me just start with the for loop. Okay, so this statement I have written, this is a initializer. What I am doing, I am initializing it to 0. Oh, okay, let me initialize it to 1. I am initializing it to 1. Okay, then I am giving a condition. This is my condition, I less than equal to 10, which basically means this program is going to check this condition if I is less than equal to 10, and if it comes to be true, it will come into the body of this loop. And then my incrementer, which increments the value of I from 1 to 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever, till 10. So let me just run. Let me here selection. Okay. So this program has printed 10 times. Now can anyone tell me what will be the value of I at the end of this loop? If I print I at the end of this loop, what will be its value? Hello guys, are you there? Hello.
Ma'am, it will print 10 hello world, ma'am.
So you're saying if I print I here, it will be 10, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. First of all, can you tell me why an error is coming here? Why I am not able to print I here?
Ma'am, because we haven't declared it.
We have declared it here. Why is it not accessible here?
Because after the for loop, the next line execute, not after second line.
Yeah,
And the
exactly.
print hello world, you have to print the I, then only it will print. And you didn't put the bracket. Then if you put the bracket, then it you have printed.
So you are saying if I put the bracket, but I only want to execute this statement once. I don't want to print I again and again. I just want to print the end value of I. Then where should I put the statement? Where should I put the I loop, this statement, so that I gets printed and we get no error? Okay, so I'm going to tell this. So this is a local code variable in for loop.
Outside the loop, actually print the I outside the loop. When the loop
Exactly.
will finish,
We are going to put I
out
here.
of the loop, and then we'll print
Yeah,
the print.
we are going to declare it here and we can initialize it here. Now, if we do so, now we can get the final value of I. And do you all think it will be 10? Okay, then let me just run it and tell you what will be it. It will be actually 11. Okay, see, it's 11. Now, you might ask that the loop executed 10 times, and why is this that the value of I is coming out to be 11? So, to answer this question, see, we have started with the value of I 1. Okay, so I is 1. Hello world gets printed 1 time, then 2, 3, 4, and subsequently 10 times. So when the I's value gets 10, it comes in the loop, it prints the value of 10, right? It prints the value of hello world 10th time, and then I is incremented. It gets the value 11, but then it comes into the loop and the condition is not met. Then I becomes 11. 11 is not less than equal to 10, and the loop terminates and we go out of the loop, but the value of I remains 11 because that's the point where the program termination stopped. So always remember this. If you are going to execute a loop 10 times, it's not going, I's final value is not going to be 10. It's going to be 1 greater than whatever you are giving. Or suppose if I give I plus equal to 2, let me just print I only here. So now can anyone just tell me the output of this code? What will be the value of I here? I am incrementing 2 times. 1, 3, 5, 7. It's going to print that. Can anyone tell that?
9.
9, okay. Anyone else?
12.
It will print 5 times, I think. 5 times.
No, it's not going to be 9. See.
11.
Yeah.
12.
No, not 12. I will just run it. It's going to be, I think, was just a sec. It's going to be, I starts with 1 and then 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. Then it becomes 11. It's going to be 11. I will tell you how. As per me. See, just a sec. I will let me just put /n and here let me just put final value. You can see 11. Now, those of you saying 9, I just explained why this is going to be not be 9. See, this program comes, it first I is 1. The value becomes 1 and it gets printed. Then again I is incremented to 3. Okay. First it becomes 1 as it's initialized. Then it becomes 3 through the increment. Then condition is checked. Is 3 less than equal to 10? Yes, it is. Then it comes inside, prints the value of I, that is 3, and again increments to 2, that is 5. Okay. Then it again checks, is 5 less than equal to 10? Yes, it is. Then 5, then it prints the value of 5 and again increments to 2. It becomes 7. What happens after that? It becomes 9. It increments to 2, becomes 9. It comes inside loop, prints the value of 9. Now observe carefully. So at this point, i's value has become 9. It increments to 2. So this statement is going to be executed no matter the condition is met or not met. Okay. So 9 plus 2 equal to 11. Okay. 9 plus 2 has become 11. Now when I check the condition, is 11 less than equal to 10? So do you think this condition will be evaluated correct or false? False, right?
False.
Right. So it will evaluate to false, and hence this print statement will not be executed. But the value of I will still be 11, and that's why when we come out of the loop, we see the value of I is 11. Okay. So carefully observe that whenever we terminate a loop, it's when, like, suppose it's a last point of condition, like last point of condition is met at 9, then the i's value is always going to be incremented or decremented as per the condition one more step. So if we are getting 9, it will be 2 more steps, that means it will be 11, and the loop is getting terminated 10. If I suppose give 101, it will be 103 because we have given 2 times. Similarly, if I give this and I'm negative decrement, then it will be minus 2, the last point is minus 2, then it will be 98. So this is the thing. So always remember that whatever the point of execution stops, final value of I is going to be some steps greater than that. Now this is the basic syntax of for loop. I hope you must have understood the basics of this. Then let's just go to the while loop. I will be doing the same program with the while loop. Let me just show that. So while loop is also a similar loop in like for loop. It's also used to print the statements, but it is usually done when we don't know the number of iterations in advance. Having said that, you can convert any loop from for to while, and while to for. Mark this carefully. You can do that. If you don't know the number of iterations in advance, you can still just give the condition. You can skip this, and the loop will run fine. It's going to happen. But we can, it's a general guideline. We use while loop when we don't know the actual number of iterations in advance, and we use for loop when we actually know the number of iterations, maybe 10 or 12, whatever, in advance. And do while loop is used when we want that at least once this loop should be executed, and then we loop do while loop. So the basic flow chart of it, or condition. So while loop, in while loop we give the condition, and increment statement is given inside the body of the loop, and initializer statement is given before the loop starts. Okay, so that's the basic thing. In while loop, it's simple. We just test the condition. If it executes true, loop body is executed, and it again goes to check condition, and if it becomes false, while loop ends. Similar with do while loop, it executes once, no matter what the condition is met or not, we are giving an initializer or not. While loop, do while loop is going to be executed once at least. Okay, so that is also called post tested loop, and it is usually used in menu driven things. Like suppose if we want a user comes to our portal, and you want no matter the user is admin or no matter the user is a normal user, you want the user the main menu to be displayed to the user at least once. Okay, so that's where we use do while loops, so that it gets executed at least once, no matter what the program condition or code is. So now let me just do one thing. Now let me just run this. I have declared I have given the condition. I'm not giving any. Okay, let me give increment as well. Okay. So what do you think this loop will print? Sorry. What do you think what will be the output of this loop? I'm not giving any initializer to 0 or 1. So I'm not sure which value of I will be it will put. So it is going to give, is it going to give me an error, or is it going to give me an output, or the loop will not execute, or will it be an infinite loop? Any guesses? Hello guys, speak up. I want this to be interactive. Wait, then I will tell you. See, if I don't initialize it to anything 1 or 0, then it's going to pick up junk values. And what will happen with it? Loop body is not going to be executed because the condition is not met, but we will get a final value of I, which will be a junk value. So let me just run that. See, I'm just getting this statement because I is taking a junk value, whatever might be fed in the program. So it will take a junk value and print that, and loop condition is never met. So this loop will not be this loop will not be executed, and all the statement inside it will not be executed, but this program will execute. No error will be shown. Okay. Now suppose if let me give this value 1 and drop this statement. Let me just drop increment statement. Now any guesses what will be the output of this?
It will be infinite, I think.
Okay, why will it be an infinite loop? Hello, who was that? Who answered? Sorry, I couldn't see a name.
Can you ask the question again?
Why will this loop be an infinite loop? If at all it is going to be infinite. I have just removed the increment statement, I++. So the answer is correct, whoever answered. This is going to be an infinite loop. The reason for the...
Ma'am, because it will not increment anymore. So I think I will be 1 itself everywhere, means every time.
Yeah, exactly. The value of I will be 1, and this condition is always going to be evaluated to true. So if you want, I can just run that and you can see for yourself. See, 1 is getting printed again and again. Let me just stop that now. Oh, it stopped, I guess. Okay, anyways, so yeah. Now, let me just ditch the condition part. Let me just ditch the condition part and give the increment part. What will be the output now?
I think it'll show error.
Sorry?
I think it'll show an error.
Do you think so? No.
It can be infinite loop.
Yeah, definitely it will be an infinite loop. It will not show an error because that's the condition with for loop. It allows us, it has 3 statements. So it allows us to just execute the program if we miss 1 or 2 statements. And when I come to while loop, I will tell the difference that what happens when we miss some of the statements in while loop. So if I run this, it is going to be an infinite loop. Let me just run this. It's taking too much time. Yeah, it's running. So by then, see, it's taking junk values. Why? Because we have not initialized the value of I. So I missed that condition as well. If I initialize the value of I, okay, I have initialized. Why is it taking junk then? I equal to 1. Okay, yeah, sorry, it's not taking junk. I have initialized I to 1, so it's printing. It goes on and prints the condition, because this condition is always going to be true, right? So this condition part is always going to be true, so it will keep on incrementing and keep on printing the value of I till it becomes infinite. So it's here is the output. So it's still printing the value of I. It's because it's keep on incrementing, and the condition is always going to be printed or come out to be true. So it will not show an error. But in case of while loop, if we don't write a condition, it will surely show an error. Now let me just stop it. Okay, it's stopped. Now let's just ditch all three statements. What do you think? Will it show an error or will it be an infinite loop? I'm just declaring it but not initializing it. Do you think this will be an error or an infinite loop? Hello guys, speak
It's
up.
shown error, ma'am.
No, it will not show an error. It will be an infinite loop. Okay, let me just show that. It will take junk values. It will take any junk values and it will just keep on running. Okay. Let me just start that. See, it's taking junk values and it will keep on running. It started with junk value of 08602 and it keeps on running till I stop it. It becomes an infinite loop. Now let me just stop the program. Yeah, it stopped. Okay. So that's the thing with for loop. You can ditch all the three statements. You can write two statements, you can write one statement, and it's still going to be executed perfectly fine. But that's not the case with while loop. Let me show how. See, I am just ditching the condition here. While loop always has a condition. I am giving initializing here, and I am also giving increment statement here. Suppose I give increment statement I plus plus. Okay, so increment statement in while loop comes inside the body of the loop. So see, this is going to show me an error because while loop always demands a condition. In for loop, we can ditch one statement, two statement, or all three statements, but while loop always demands a condition, and hence we have to give a condition. Maybe we can give it just true or whatever we want to give. Okay, sorry, true is not there in this. I think true or while whatever. So we always have to give condition in while loop. Okay, and otherwise it will show an error. Now let me just give the condition. Suppose say I less than equal to 10. So what do you think will be the value of what will it print? Values from which to which, and what will be the final value here? What will be printed here? What do you think? Values from 1 to 10, right? And final value will be 11, because when the loop terminates, the condition will not be met and the i's value will be 11. So that's the basic funda. Let me just run it. Okay, final value 11 and it prints the count from 1 to 10. Okay, so here we can't ditch the condition. Now suppose if I ditch the increment here, I'm not going to run it, otherwise it is going to fail or take too much time. But can anyone tell me what will happen if I ditch this statement here? I just explained in for loop, so I think you can now have a grasp of it. If we miss increment here, what will happen? I will be 1, then 1 is less than 10, and it's going to print values of I. But increment statement never happens. So won't it be this condition be true always? It's going to print infinite loop, right? Guys, speak up. Are you getting at me, or like is it too overwhelming? Hello. And it's as if I'm talking to myself. So please be little responsive, okay? So this is going to be an infinite loop. If I miss this condition, I plus plus, okay? Because say statement will always evaluate to true. And if I'm ditch this statement, then it's going to print, it's going to take junk values and then print the junk value as final value, but the loop is not going to be executed, which is the same as I explained in for loop. Now coming to do while loop, I will execute the same code to do while loop. So what I'm going to do, let me just put the print statement here. Okay. And while condition, it will be this. Int I equal to 1. So this is the same code which we wrote in for loop with for loop and do while loop, and it will again print the value from 1 to 10, and then it will just print the final value of 11. Okay, sorry, I forgot to put, I think, incremental statement. Just a second, guys. Sorry. I plus plus. Okay. Now let's just run the code. Okay, this is the output 1 to 10 and final value 11. Okay, cool. So that's the basic syntax of for loop, while loop, do while loop. And mark my words, you can convert any loop and while loop in do loop, while loop, or for loop in do while loop. It's possible, but going by general guidelines, we use for loops when we know the predetermined number of iterations. And while when we don't know predetermined number of iterations, and do while loop when we want the program to be executed at least once. Now, since do while loop is mostly in menu driven, I will just tell you make a program of do while loop where we actually use it. So suppose let me just give choice.
Can you show us an example where we can
Choice.
using the for loop is appropriate and where the while loop is appropriate?
I am taking choice. Say suppose scan. I don't need this. Let me remove it. So this choice, and let the choices be 1, 2, 3, and I will put the while condition as while choice is suppose not equal to 4. Okay, so this loop is going to be terminated whenever I enter 4. Otherwise, it will go on executing till I don't enter the number 4. Okay, so let me just run. Suppose I enter 1. Let me just put a print statement as well, guys. Just a second. Okay, it's running. So by the time it's running, do you have any doubts or any queries till now, or the things are a bit clear by now?
I am saying that can you show us the where is appropriate to use? Hello, ma'am.
Okay, I think no doubts. It's taking a while to run. Let me just copy the code in online compiler. I think VS Code is taking bit lot of time. So
Hello,
let me just
excuse me, ma'am.
see. I think it has hanged. Guys, I hope you can see this screen as well. I think I've shared entire screen, right? Laika, can you verify? You can see the online compiler, right? Hello.
Yes, ma'am, it's visible.
Guys, am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Yes, ma'am, you're audible, but are we audible to you?
Yeah, yeah. I hope you can see the screen.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So I am just entering my choice. Suppose say 1, 2. It keeps on asking me for another choices. This is where do while when we want these are menu driven programs. As soon as I enter 4, the program will stop. So this is the case when we use this. Let me just switch to the, I think this is taking VS Code is taking not so much time. So let me just write here only. Now suppose I all now you might say like why this will be needed, like why I want choice 4. So let's just make a menu as well. Suppose I'm making a menu for suppose say a restaurant. Mm, ice cream, let's see, ice cream. Okay. Now I want these choices. I also want the choices that I have selected to be printed again and again. So I can either use switch case or I can use for, oh sorry, if else. So I'm going with switch case. So I will write here switch choice. Phase 1 printf is and break. This is a jump statement which I will be explaining a bit later on also. Right now I can say that jump statement or break statement is just breaks from the statement as soon as I get a value of suppose case 1 pizza. It breaks and comes out of the switch or comes out of this block. Otherwise, if I don't put this, all the cases will be executed. Like suppose I put 1, then other cases will also be executed. So it's necessary to put break statement here. I will just show also if I remove break statement what will happen and what output will it give. Is suppose say chips. Chips is food. There's no case file. Okay. So default. Okay. Default is 10. Default case is a case like when we give a wrong input or then we want the code to be executed again and again. So we can give suppose please enter again. Okay. And we may or may not give break statement here, so it's your choice completely. If you want to give, you can give. It's the last case, so we don't need to give it here. We enter our choice. Okay, I think it's fine. Let's just run the code. Okay, I got an error. Okay, I missed a semicolon here. Okay, let's just. Okay, I got the main menu. Let me just stop and print slash and here. First of all, let me see if my VS Code is running. Oh, it has hanged. Let me just. Yeah. Now let's just run this code. Okay. Enter your choice. Suppose I enter one. Enter your choice. I get pizza. Two. I get burger. I write six. I get please enter again because it's a default case. I enter suppose say four. I get ice cream. Sorry, at four it stopped. Okay, given condition. So let me just give another case. Exit case also. Case five. Exit. Suppose I give exit case. So I can give case 5 as exit. This stops the program or, or exits the point as soon as I encounter 5. And when choice becomes 5, this do while loop will stop. Okay. And this exit statement stops the program and comes out of this whole do while switch case. And then do while loop also stops as soon as it gets 5. Okay. So, yeah. Cool. It executed code 0, which means it executed successfully. So these are the main things where do while loops are used. And now suppose, do you have any program in mind that you want me to run in any for loop, do while loop?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, one of the participants has a doubt that can you show us some example for loop where while loop is not appropriate?
Okay. No, there's no such case where while loop is not appropriate. As I said, for loop can always be converted in while loop and vice versa. So if you give me any code, say suppose factorial, we can just convert it into while loop as well. Okay, does that clear the question? If you have any program in mind, I can just run that. Now suppose if I want to do factorial or sum of 10 natural numbers, I can convert that in for loop, while loop, whichever you want. Okay, let's just go with factorial. If you have any other program in mind, I can make that.
Does anyone has any kind of doubt that needs to be cleared? Please raise your hand.
Otherwise, I'm just going with factorial only. Till you guys give your doubts, I will just make it. So I hope you guys know what factorial is, right? Okay, so factorial, let's suppose if I have a number 5, I need to calculate its factorial. So it will be 5 into 4 into 3 into 2 into 1. This is going to be number. If I have 6 factorial, it's going to be 6 into 5 into 4 into 3 into 1. Okay. So I will just make all these make this program in all three cases for while do while, and you can just have a look at that. Okay, so let me just take user input only. In n I less than 2. Okay. Here I am going to take. I will initialize fact with 1 because it's going to get multiplied with 1 every time. So I will give fact start I, and then I will just print f. I don't need to save this. Okay. Now let me just check if I have not done any mistake. Otherwise, I will just run the program. Sorry. Factorial. What did I miss? Oh, okay. Let me do that. Too many arguments. Okay, guys, I've taken num here. It has to be n. I have initial declared variable n. Okay, so let's just run the program now. Let's just tell a number. Suppose say 5. Happening. But I have missed. Just a sec. Enter number scanf. Okay, sorry. Mod D. Okay. Yeah. So factorial comes out to be 120. If I type anything else, 6 comes out with 720. So I think it's printing correct. So let's just walk through it. How it runs. So what it does, fact is initialized to 1. First, we get the fact value 1. We multiply it with the number. We get here 1 value as I. So fact will be 1 into 1. It will be 1. Then we again go inside the loop. Now fact's value is 1. And we multiply it with the value of I, which is 2 now. So it will be 2. 1 star 2. So now our fact stores 2. When it goes up again inside, it will be value of I will be 3 and fact will be true already. So 2 into 3 becomes 6, right? Now our fact will become 4. So 6 into 4, 24. Cool. Now it will be last condition. I will be increment to 5. 5 into fact will be 24 and 24 into 5, 120. Okay. Now I increment to 6 and this condition 6 is not less than equal to 5. Condition is not met. It becomes false. The loop terminates and we get the print statement as fact. It will give the statement as fact 120. Now, do you think this will print factorial correct for all the numbers? Hello guys, speak. Do you think this program is absolutely correct and there are no errors on it, and it will going to be print the statement correct for all the numbers, or are there any errors in the program? Guys, I'm asking a simple question. Hello. Okay, so let me just tell you, this program is not going to be printing correct output for greater number. Suppose I give a number 100. I'm getting value 0. Why? Because int is not able to store such high values. 100 factorial will be a very, very large value, and int only has 2 bytes of storage space. And we need a much longer storage space to get this value of 100 factorial in this. One more thing, if I type the number 0, then also I'm not, I'm getting factorial 1. Okay, so this is printing correct. Okay, and suppose you might say that why we need it to multiply it with 1 also. Suppose if I start with 2, do you think it's going to be correct? Suppose if I type 5, it's going to get 120, or 6. It's always going to give the correct output, because anything multiplied with 1 is the number itself, right? So we can ditch that, but we always write 1. We always start the loop with 1 and not with 2, just because if the user asks for a factorial of 1 or 0, then the output is going to be incorrect. So for that point only, we start with this loop with 1. Otherwise, if factorial of 0 and 1 is not required, we can just start this loop with 2, and we will save one computation space in the program. Okay, so that's how we can reduce the complexity, if just only if we don't want the factorial of 0, 1. Now coming to the point of higher numbers. Okay, so suppose number is 100, we are not getting correct output, we are getting 0 because that's any junk value. It will print if we take any high number, 89 or 100. Okay, so it's not going to print correct output, it is going to print 0 for that, because it's not able to store that many values. For that, what we can do, we can just take double. Okay, we can just take the double value of fact equal to 1. I'm just going to remove it from here, and I'm taking this value as double. Now let's see, is it going to print correct output? Let's just enter the number. Okay, just a second. Here you have to change mod d. Mod d is used for integer. For float, you need mod f. Okay, so I will just enter the number 100. Suppose I'm getting the correct output. Yes, it's probably correct if you calculate. So, but you can see I have converted the integer number into float because double is a float type value. But I don't actually want these trailing zeros. I don't want my output to be 0.0000. I want my output to be printed in this case only. Like I want this to be printed this much only. I don't want these trailing zeros. So what can I do? I can just give, so suppose see, if I give 0.2f, then I will get 2 zeros here. If I give 0f, then I will remove all the trailing zeros. So suppose I enter, not 18 plus 89, suppose it's printing 2 zeros. Okay, so if I put 0.0f, these values 0, 2f, this stands for the number of values you want to print after the decimal point. So if I put 0, I will get whatever I want as output, the number itself. Cool. So that's how we calculate the factorial for all possible numbers. Now this program can calculate for all possible numbers. And for I think double is the largest. So I think for 1000 it might fail. Let's just run, because I think 1000 is a pretty big value, but it will going to show infinity. It is not the case with integer. If I change the double to integer, it is going to print 0, which is an incorrect output. Infinity is still a correct output because it will be a very big number. 1000 factorial is a very big number. So infinity is a correct output. Cool. Now this program will run file for all. Now for changing this to while, we don't need to do much. We just give the while loop here, remove this from here and give it here, I equal to 1, and remove this I plus plus and just add it here. So this is how it can be converted into while loop. Cool. Now let's just run that and see if we are getting correct output. We are getting correct output. Cool. For do while loop also, you don't need to do much changes. Just place a do here. Okay, and while condition can come here, while I less than equal to n, and it is going to print again the correct output. Cool. Till now, any doubts? So I hope you're clear. Sorry, anyone was saying something?
No, you can continue.
Sorry?
You can continue, Dee.
Okay. So I hope you might now be clear at how we can convert all the loops into each other. So we can convert for into while into do while. It's pretty easy. Conventions say that we use the guidelines, but I think anybody asked the question. So this I did just to demonstrate that we can convert any loop into any other loop But the convention is that we when we don't know the number of iterations, then we use while or do while, and for when we use know the number of iterations to be done. But if we don't know the number of iterations, we can just skip the initializing value in the for loop, like I showed, right? I can just ditch the initializing value here. I can just declare the variable int I and put any condition till I is not equal to any number user entered, and increment or decrement I, that's your choice. You can just ditch the initializing value here, and then it will be converted to while loop when we don't have don't know the number of iteration it is going to take place. So these are the simple basic things. Now let's just go to the jump statements. Okay, so the jump statements are basically they tell you to, like they help you jump from one code of block to another code of block, like from one point to another. Like jump, as the name suggests, means hopping from one place to another, and we can do it very effortlessly. So this is a very small topic. Like suppose there is a continuous statement. We use it when we want to skip one part of the declaration and move to the next part of the loop. Like suppose if we are using a loop, suppose I want to print numbers from 1 to 10, but I don't want to print the number 5 or suppose 6. Then I use the continuous statement. I just ditch that number and I just print the rest of the numbers. Flow chart of this is simple. Loop body starts and it checks if the condition for to continue the iteration is true or not. If it comes to be true, we continue the statement. Otherwise, if it comes to it comes to be false, they execute the rest of the loop. Similarly, is the case with break. In break, what will be done? Suppose if I have numbers from 1 to 10, but I just want the loop to break at number 5. We don't want to skip it, but we want the loop to break it. Okay, I think do while loop, I suppose that. Okay, area that menu driven. So break is then break is used. Like I used it in switch case. If you remember, and if I had removed break statement from there, then all the statements of the switch would have been executed. Break also has similar flowchart as continuous statement, and return, it just returns control out of the function. What goto does, it takes the control from anywhere in the function. You can jump to anywhere else. It has a label where you can jump to. So I think there is much theory part in it. I will just skip this theory part. I will just share the 50. You can check that. I will just move to the code. You can see the code, right? So
Ma'am,
yeah,
we are already past 5, so I think the presentations and the codes are enough to understand. And if you want to explain this, you can.
okay, I will just I think it's going to take 5 minutes. I will just explain one of the jump statements, and rest they can do, I hope.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Okay, so since we're short on time, I'm going to take a small, I was otherwise going to make a big program, so let's just take that only. I'm going to print from number from 1 to 10, okay, and printf mod d. Okay, I'm just printing all the numbers. A simple program. And here I'm putting a condition. If I equal to say suppose 4, I will just put a statement continue. You can just see the output, what it returns. And here it is going to skip the number 4 and it is going to print all other numbers. See, 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We just add a space also here. It is going to print all other numbers. Now suppose I change it to break. It will print all the numbers till 4. Like it is going to print all the 1. It is going to print 1, 2, 3, and at 4 it will break. Okay. rest of the part of the loop will not be executed. Okay, this is a statement thing with this. Return also does a similar functionality, but it is most usually used in functions. Uh, 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 no declared, it's just, so it's going to print 1, 2, 3. Okay, we have 2 return statements, so it is throwing an error. Let me just okay, I will just check this return statement. Now coming to no, I think I should return, okay, sorry, I will return 0 here because program executes successfully, so I need to return 0. Okay, so then it will execute successfully. It will show 1, 2, 3, and program has executed. It is not going to execute as soon as I encounter 4. For go to statement, suppose I gave a label go to label. I gave a label as suppose printf hello. Okay, and I return here. So do you think it will give the correct output, or it is going to give an infinite loop? So I'm telling you it is going to give me an okay, I've given 2. Sorry. Yeah. Now it's correct. Right? If I equal to 4, go to label T. As soon as I print go to label, it just goes to the label and prints hello and returns stops the program. If I don't give this return statement here, okay, and I just give the return statement here, then it's going to print an infinite loop because this label is going to get executed again and again, and it will be a never ending process. So this is a thing with go to statement. It's not used much in programming because it can use to pointer declaration. It can use to have memory leaks if we don't give a return statement in each label block. So always remember that whenever you put a label block, you always need to give a return statement so that our program executes successfully and there are no errors thrown or no infinite loops occur. Okay. So that's the pretty thing. I think you guys have got a gist of the jump statement. I think I took it a bit fast. So I hope you were able to grasp some concepts of it, if not all.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So we can take the Q&A now. If you have any questions, you can just ping it. I'm going to stop screen sharing, okay? Alaika, over to you.
I want to thank the speaker for taking out time for us and clearing all our basics. And ma'am, it was very nice and full of information. We are ending the meeting now. Hope to see you all tomorrow. Stay tuned in the WhatsApp group. Please don't forget to fill the feedback form and attempt the quiz in order to receive the completion certificate. Thank you, everyone.